So in season one, while this is an episodic show, we also had quite a lot of serialized elements, mainly to do with our two leads, Bill Fichtner playing Hickman and Louis, played by Marc Lavoine. Hickman basically comes into the series as a crippled and fallen policeman because he was shot in the hand during a takedown of a child molester and trafficker. And because of that, he had to quit working for the NYPD, and he also needs to take drugs in order to keep functioning, because the pain in his hand is keeping him from being able to live without taking morphine or alternative drugs. And he comes to Europe in order to take down his nemesis, who is played by Kim Coates and is called Genovese. And it takes him the whole season, basically, to confront him. And in the last two episodes, he actually takes him down, and he gets shot, though not killed, but is able to escape. So at the very end of the season, he's on the loose again, and we have to start over in season two. Then we have Marc Lavoine, who's playing Louis, our lead cop and the leader of the team at the ICC. And his backstory is that, that his son was killed a couple of years ago, and he blames himself for it because he thinks it's due to his work. His wife blames him for it because she thinks it's due to his work. But we find out during the course of the season that in actual fact it wasn't his fault after all. It was his wife's, and it had to do with her, and it had to do with Dorn, the third big character of this show, played by Donald Sutherland. And the nemesis behind that big story arc is Dimitrov, played by Marcel Uris, who's one of the great Eastern European actors. So for season two, we were able to get Carrie-Anne Moss and Ray Stevenson to play semi-regular leads. They come in episode 1 and 2. Ray Stevenson in episode 1 because we are going to London for the first time in this show. And he is playing a detective there that has the trust of Dorn, and that can help with hopefully finding Louis, who has been abducted in the ultimate episode of season 1. So they ask for his resources and his help to get and find him. And he then returns for 2 more episodes. And he has quite an interesting story arc. I don't really want to give a lot away here because he's quite powerful, and I think that it's going to be very enjoyable for everyone to watch and experience. Carrie-Anne Moss is the former partner of Hickman, and we introduce her in episode 2 because Genovese, who fled fled Europe at the end of season 1, reappeared in New York and is trying to clean up his old enemies. And as she is one of them, and as he knows that if he's able to kill her, Hickman would come after him to New York and he would be able to kill him too, he's trying to, first of all, kill her. And so but she finds out about this, sees him, and calls Hickman immediately to tell him that he reappeared in New York and why is he no longer in custody in Europe. So the team has to go to New York, and we have an episode where we actually are in New York tracking down Genovese, Kim Coates. And so it's a nice cat and mouse between Kim Coates, Bill Fichtner, and Carrie-Anne Moss, and a lot of sparks are flying and quite a bit of chemistry is going, and that's the start of that storyline. And then we have her reappearing twice more over the course of the season. as in season 2, we need to go to New York, and going to New York is very difficult when shooting in Europe because there are not that many streets that look like New York. We thought about going and actually shooting on the other side of the pond, but it didn't make sense financially or production-wise. And the closest we could get was to go to Sofia, Bulgaria, because there is a backlot set built there with a couple of New York streets, exteriors, which has been used, for instance, by the Expendables and others. And we went there, we redressed them, we polished them up a little bit, and we shot New York in Sofia, Bulgaria, as well as shooting Sofia, Bulgaria for Sofia, Bulgaria, which I think is also good because you get the flavor of the country if you shoot there, and so we were able to do that too. One of the things that make Crossing Lines special is that apart from the cases being international, meaning that every case has to be at least in 2 countries, so we do see 2 countries represented in every case, and every team member being from a different country. We've got the Irish, we've got the Italian, German, French, we've got American, we've got Lara, who is she's from where is she? From Amsterdam, I think, North Holland police. So everyone is from various countries, and they have their own unique ways of doing things. But in addition, actually the crew is from all over the world, and we are shooting all over the world. And I think that helps to really build the feeling of this show being truly international. We have a storyline in that season with where we need a German that can ride a motorbike to go undercover. And Sebastian, as every good employment-seeking person would do, is putting on his CV all the things that he is kind of able to do, even riding a motorbike, though he has only done that once, which doesn't really bound well when he's then asked to do it for an undercover job. And the team, especially Eva and Tommy, are really worried about him because here's a character that has, though he goes onto the scenes, the crime scenes, he's not necessarily the most active when it comes to gunfighting or chasing down criminals by foot or anything like that. And he is supposed to go into the lions' den and take it up with them. And they have to train him, and they have to make a undercover cop out of someone who's more used to playing with his toys.